I know how you're starting off your day.
Breakfast? No. You know how I want to start.
You may drink more coffee.
Right.
You may drink more coffee than me. And yet, neither one of us has coffee right now.
Right. Refreshing, cleaning off that stress that just...
At the same time, you actually introduced me to that really cool guy. Oh, that's right, right? And that's a little hard to do on a beach sometimes, but I know you did it.
You did your best.
You did it great, man. That was awesome. Gaul! Or
that's fantastic.
Gaul!
Yes. And that
the people that you oppose, just keep that in mind. Welcome to Making Waves, your TASI Bank podcast. I'm your host, Alan Gaul, the Vice President of Marketing and Brand, and today's guest, Mr. James Atticon. Today's topic is reveling in relationship, revealing the role of the relationship manager at TASI Bank. James, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been with TASI Bank for, I think, 7 years. It's been so much fun, I lost count. I think.
And you came from Wells, right?
I came from Wells Fargo. Before that, I was with a couple of other commercial real estate lenders in the Bay Area.
Always in banking, always in commercial banking.
Yes.
Relationship manager role.
Not always.
Okay.
I did a lot of other things, which I can get into now. Is a good time, perhaps.
Okay. Let's go.
I know one thing.
It's going to save me the questions.
Yeah, that's right. I know one of the things that might be interesting for our audience is what kind of skills this job requires.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I make a long list of things to know: law, real estate, business, finance, accounting. Throw in another one: topics of interest to people you meet on the street. Baseball, basketball, soccer, football, whatever. So, getting back to the earlier point, I did underwriting, I did relationship management, I did basic accounting. There's a lot of roles I filled in that long history of jobs, and they play well to what I do now because you have to hit all those things when you're a relationship manager.
So tell us so as a relationship manager, what's a typical day look like? I know that, we've had other guests on different episodes. We all have our huddles. We can talk a little bit about that because I know that Hitesh, he's on my huddle right before he gets on with you guys. And you've been with the bank 7 years, I've been here 5, and this huddle concept is relatively new for us. But as it relates to the daily role of meetings, managing the relationship, I mean, you guys have a lot of stuff to do day in and day out, and not a lot of time to do it in, quite frankly. So what does that day look like for you guys?
True. Well, you mentioned the huddle. This is something we do every day at the start of the day. Well, not quite the start of the day. I kick my day off a little earlier so I can check in with clients.
Well, let's go back. Yeah. I know how you're starting off your
day. Breakfast? No. You know how I want to start my day.
I know how you want to start. You'd rather be in the ocean in Guam starting your day. That's how you'd want to start your day.
Right.
And, quite frankly, end your day. But tell the listeners how you really start your day, because what people don't know about James Atticon is this cat is a coffee aficionado. You may drink more coffee. Right. You may drink more coffee than me, and yet neither one of us has coffee right now.
Right, this is true. I'd like to have a coffee.
Me too.
So I start my day with I wake up and I imagine that I'm on the beach, jumping in the water, refreshing, cleaning off that stress that just I live with. But not being I'm at the beach. I live in San Francisco. It's 20 minutes away.
What part of town do you live in?
Noe Valley.
Okay.
Noe Valley. But this beach is too cold. I imagine being on a tropical beach. That takes me about 5 minutes. Maybe that's what I do during snooze. Then I head to the kitchen, make breakfast for myself, make breakfast for me. Right after breakfast, it's time for an espresso. So I break out my Italian mocha pot, fill it full of espresso, grind, and there we go.
Off to the races.
I'm off to the races, yeah.
You and I actually got to spend time in Guam together, which was awesome. And every day, you and I were in the water, either at the same time or not, but we were kind of at the beach at the same time. You actually introduced me to that really cool guy. Oh, that's right, right? He gave me the concert ticket.
Right.
And that was pretty cool. But, you talk about having that piece of just in Guam, the ocean, what that looks like. I know that me being on the East Coast at times, I'm always jumping in the ocean and teasing you with text messages saying, don't you wish you were doing what I'm doing right now? You guys are on the pipeline meeting, I'm in the ocean. But you do have a stressful day. And Jackie Diaz was on a previous episode, and she was talking about going through the process of a loan from the servicing side. And she sort of identified, what the relationship managers do, which is client facing, right? And then their role is appraisers, escrow, all of that kind of stuff. So just on an average day throughout your day, how many clients are you really talking to?
Probably 2 or 3. And we start the day with checking emails and checking messages and seeing what clients have reached out to us. Because we have to respond. We want to respond quickly and completely to everyone. We are ambassadors. The RMs, the relationship managers, are ambassadors of the bank. And even sitting on the beach on Guam, we want to be present for the public around us and see who they are and how they perhaps would or already do connect with TASI Bank. Being an ambassador means responding to what those clients need in a way that's positive, full of energy, and quality answers. Being a relationship manager and an ambassador also means we want to be proactive with those connections. So as much as we look for what people are asking us to do, we want to drive those conversations and those connections with who we target and who we want to reach out to.
And speaking of that, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of market research do you guys use to maybe identify and research new markets, right? We're a commercial business bank. Gas stations, hospitality, cannabis, right? That's a big relatively new one for us. Nonprofits, there's a lot that goes on. So how do you guys target and figure out what is sort of that next thing for TASI Bank?
Right.
We're sort of niche-y. So
Right.
what does that look like from the RM's perspective? Because you guys have a duality of your role in terms of retaining the clients you have, which is hard, and then going out and acquiring new customers. And in this market, when you've got banks going out of business, some people do look at banks with a little bit of skepticism, and they don't want to be with a bigger bank, but they might not see the value of a community bank or a smaller bank. What are those sort of things that you go through with those interactions?
Now, a great place, and I'd say maybe the best, is to work with existing clients and have them give us recommendations.
Yeah.
And they will know people in their business, clients they work with, service providers to their company, who would appreciate the unique power we bring to a relationship. The bank talks about clients and each other as being part of familia.
Yeah.
And a lot of banks, I think, make a lot of lip service to relationship, but we honestly try and live that 100% with our clients.
You're the first guest that is an employee that brought up the term familia. And I know we've got, stuff we look at, notes and things, but that wasn't even, no one's ever talked about the familia, right? And that familial culture was driven by Guam, and we at TASI Bank really strive to keep that legacy alive.
Right.
I think we do a really good job of it, internally with the employees, but we do a really good job of it with our clients as well, evidenced by that trip to Guam, right? I mean, they were included in a lot. And, when you were talking about being an ambassador and being down on the beach, I mean, when you work for the Bank of Guam and they find out you're from San Francisco and you're on, everybody talks to you. And you do have a responsibility to represent both brands in a professional way. And that's a little hard to do on a beach sometimes, but I know you did it.
You did your best.
You did it great, man. That was awesome. Once a relationship is established, what do you guys do to grow that relationship and then maintain it over years? Because I know that we have a lot of long-term relationships that go back decades. And again, you're here 7 years. We've got guys, that have been here longer. But there's a lot of longevity among some of our clientele. What's the secret sauce? What do you guys do that makes them want to keep coming back for more?
There's a couple of points on that. One big point, of course, is the familia, that we ask questions of these clients, get to know them, and they appreciate that interest that we we show. They want to see that love, they want to see that energy and that passion for not just finance, which is what we do, but whatever it is that they do. What business do they run? A lot of these people created these businesses from nothing at the start. And they are incredibly proud, knowledgeable, and really strong operators in that business. They love to talk about it, and if we can engage with them in that arena and let them know that we're listening and care, it goes a long way. The other thing is to share time together that's outside of that business.
Yeah.
Going to the events that they care about. Are they participants in some charities? Are they passionate about a sport team? Things like that we can do together. It's like what you would do with your friends and family.
And that's a good point, because not only do we participate, we also sponsor, we exhibit, we do a lot within the community from that perspective. And it's, when you were talking about some of these owners really knowing their business, you have a big responsibility as you're reviewing these portfolios. In certain cases, I would assume that you and the other RMs might know your client a little bit better than they know themselves based on your acumen as you go through stuff. What do you guys do to help identify unmet needs and help them because they might not even know it, but based on your analysis and what you see, what are some of those things that you guys do to help meet those needs?
One of those, or the one I'm going to highlight, is actually outside of technical knowledge from that first question we had about what skill sets are critical. It's ability to communicate and ask good questions, good pointed questions to get to the heart of issues that even somebody you're asking the questions of may not know. I look back and think of professors I had in school who could ask leading questions. They didn't know what the answer was, but they wanted to make us think. That's what I like to do with the client. Is make them think about what they're doing, what they're experiencing. And that really adds value, because if we can help them find something, a pain that they're suffering that's challenging them, something especially if it's costing them money and time, we can take that and perhaps find a solution that we can provide in their banking relationship that helps them grow. That's really, I think, a critical skill and a way that we can use our relationships and go further and give them more value from the time they spend with TASI Bank.
That's a really good question. That's a good way of I think answering that question and providing some additional insights. One of the things I wanted you to touch on, because you've been in the industry for a long time, you've been with TASI Bank and you've seen the evolution of technology, and you've actually been a very vocal supporter but opponent in some cases, rightfully so, because a lot of people just want to go with the status quo. But you've been very vocal in opposition of certain things. You've been vocal in support of other technical initiatives, right? That's exactly what we're talking about here. But with the increasing role of technology and automation, and in previous episodes we've talked about the influx of AI as it relates to loan servicing, digital banking, even Robin with credit analysts. What does that technology and automation look like in managing tomorrow's relationship, right? You got a handle on what you're doing today, but what does tomorrow look like with all this automation, all this stuff? How do we keep that familiar culture, that human interaction, without relying so heavily on technology, but utilizing it in a way where we don't lose that, personality?
Technology is incredibly important for doing just that.
Remember, this is a podcast, and people in Guam are going to, the people that you oppose, just keep that in mind.
Technology is incredibly important, but in a way that leverages what we do well. And I think, technology is not a game changer for banks. It's not a leg up. It's a necessity. We have to deliver fast. We have to deliver value, and we have to do it in a way that interacts easily. I think what we do with technology is we leverage the efficiencies that it can give us.
Yeah.
Because that will mean all the people at this bank will have more time to focus on the personal relationship. They won't have the documents to produce. They won't have the data to enter. They won't have the data to research. They won't have their time used for creating things that could be done with tech. The flip side of that then is they've got a whole day in front of them to meet with the client and give them that personal touch, which is our specialty.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're just about out of time. I do know you are also passionate family man, and you love your family. You got a kid that's off in college, a kid that's going into high school. But as much as you love your family, followed by your love for TASI Bank and the marketing guy, you have another love, and it's soccer. You are a huge soccer guy. So now's your shot. Call out your team, call out whatever, because I know nothing about it. Goal! Or
that's fantastic.
Goal!
Yes. And that man who made that famous is from Argentina. My son and I helped him grow up with a soccer passion, and he and I watched Argentina win the World Cup this year. I know what he wants me to say. He wants me to say Man City. I'm going to say that's also a great team. Again, we're following certain players and certain coaches and certain play styles, but I've really enjoyed watching Argentina because of that history we had early on. He says they've won enough, so let's move on. We'll see.
That's awesome. James, it's been a long time, man. I'm grateful that you finally got to come on the program. And with all seriousness, I hope that if I get picked to go to Guam, you're on that trip, because, man, what a great time. I'm looking forward to going back to Guam with you, buddy.
I'll take a vacation and fly myself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, if I don't get picked, maybe I'll just take PTO and just show up. And they're like, well, maybe you can just show up to the meetings. Thank you all for tuning in to Making Waves, your TASI Bank podcast. Until next time, keep making waves.